Hey friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be giving you my best tips and tricks for escaping escape rooms. So I am fairly experienced with escape rooms. I have done almost 30 in my life with various different groups of people, and I've gotten out of a good majority of them, like about, I think my average, I keep track of all these things, so I'm pretty sure my average is around 90% right now. And I know a lot of people might be a bit wary about going to escape rooms, or think that they're too hard, or think that they aren't able to do them, and so I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of advice to people who want to try doing escape rooms but haven't yet, just to try to make it seem a little bit more friendly and easy. So my first tip is basically what you're going to do when you first get into the room. As a group, you're going to split up and spend the first 3 to 5, absolutely minimum, probably more than that, but at an absolute minimum, 3 to 5 minutes just looking around. Just taking stock of what there is, looking around, and you're going to want to be calling out what you find. So, say you enter the room and you split up, and you all go to like a different corner of the room. If you find like say you find a padlock with a 3-digit code, you want to call that out so anyone else in the room who might find a 3-digit code will know, oh, it goes over there, and then they know to be looking for a 3-letter code. Or if you find a padlock that needs a key, then announce it to everyone, and then someone who has a key will know. If they find a key, they'll know that it goes over that corner. It's also important to split up at this point, because even though later on when you're working on puzzles it might make more sense to work together, at this point you're literally just taking inventory of like what's in the room, trying to figure out what kind of puzzles you're looking for the answers of, and getting a direction, a vague direction to head in. A couple places that people might not think to look are if there is any, if there's like a coat on a hook or like a sweater laying somewhere. Always look inside of those. Make sure that you read any tags on the garment, look in any of the pockets, make sure to shake it out because there's often clues in there. Other places are underneath tables or underneath shelves, also in furniture. So yeah, just make sure you're looking everywhere that you can get access to at the beginning of the room. The next thing you're going to do is actually dependent on what kind of room you're doing, and it depends on whether the place has a one and done rule. This means that as soon as you use something, like you use a clue or you use a prop or you use a lock or a key, that means it's done with. You're never going to use it again. It's over. And if you have that rule for your game, you're going to want to find a place to put everything that you've used already, so it's out of the way and you don't get confused. I've had it so many times in so many different rooms where I have solved the puzzle and it's sitting there on the table, or someone else has solved the puzzle and it's sitting there on the table, and someone who was doing something else at the time and didn't realize that the puzzle had gotten solved comes over and is like, oh, what's this, and starts trying to figure it out, and it's like, that was already figured out. So if you could all agree on like a table or like a corner or somewhere to put all the locks and the clues that you've already used, that's really helpful for later in the game when you maybe stuck and you're looking for a new lead to follow. You know you're not following a dead lead. Speaking of working on puzzles together, you're going to want to make sure that you don't overcrowd a puzzle. Usually, unless it's a really complex puzzle, you only need 1 or 2 people working on a puzzle at a time, and other people should be looking for more puzzles to figure out and looking for more clues. Again, this is kind of a little bit more dependent on what's going on. You might have a very puzzle focused room where it's like one puzzle at a time, so you all have to work on the one puzzle at the same time. But generally speaking, there's usually like something else to be done in the room. A lot of rooms are like multi-threaded, so there's like different roads you could take to get the same end result. And so taking up too much brain power available on one puzzle is like wasteful. So another thing that you will need to know about escape rooms is that they almost never require you to have outside knowledge. This means that you don't need to know any trivia or facts or history or anything like that. You might be required to do math, you might be required to use logic, use spatial awareness, use patterns, all that stuff, but that all comes like from yourself. Like, you don't need to know something ahead of time to solve the puzzle. Of course there are exceptions to this, I'm sure. I don't think I've ever been in a room where there were where you did need to have outside knowledge. So yeah, if the puzzle you're trying to figure out requires you to like know like the capital of Australia or something, like it's probably going to be in the room somewhere for you to find. You don't just need to know that in your brain. It's also important to make sure you keep an eye on the time. There should be a timer somewhere in your room. Most places have a timer set in the room so you can keep a track of what you're doing. Some places don't because they want it to be more immersive, but depending on the room, if you have access to a clock, keep your eye on it. And That's actually a great way to decide whether or not you need hints. Hints work very differently depending on which escape room you're working with, like really, really differently. Some places give you them for free, some places give you a couple for free, and then the rest you like lose time on. Sometimes you have to, sometimes you can get as many hints as you want, but if you get more than 3 hints, then you're not allowed on their Hall of Fame or whatever. Like, there's a bunch of different rules. I heard some places actually make you pay for hints, which is bonkers to me. But anyways, but basically what you're going to be doing is if you're completely stuck, just look at the timer and say, if we don't get a lead in a minute, if we don't get, you know, a hint or an idea of our own in a minute and a half, 2 minutes, then let's ask for a hint. Or say, you know, or it's another way you can use it is you look at the room and you say, do you think that so we're at 50% of our time, do you think we used 50% of the items in the room? And then you can say, no, I think we've only just got it started, really. I think we should ask for a hint to catch up, that kind of thing. The number one thing is that I think that you shouldn't be afraid to ask for hints, maybe not like really specific hints, but one thing I always ask whenever we're stuck on something, especially if it's something that we're working on and it's just not working, like we think we know how to do it, but it's just not working, just ask for a general, am I heading in the right direction or am I banging my head against a dead end? Just ask very generally, say, I don't want any specific hints, I don't want the answer, I just want to know if I'm wasting my time. And a lot of the times the game masters will be perfectly happy to let you know that you're just missing something or you're just mistreating the puzzle or something like that. Because they want you to succeed, like they're there for you. And then that way you don't feel like you're just like getting the answers handed to you, you're just being told you're wasting your time, you're just wasting your time. There's nothing that you're going to gain from doing that. The last thing I'm going to say as the number one hint to getting out of an escape room is to communicate. Speak up. A lot of people tend to have kind of in their group, they have kind of leader types, and those people tend to speak the loudest, step forward the most, kind of like lead the rest of the group. But in this situation, you're going to want everyone to take their own reins and to take control. So if you're normally not the kind of person who speaks up, who is at the front of the group, it's time for you to step up, because I've been in a lot of escape rooms before where we were stuck on a puzzle, and then after we solved it, we got out of the room, whatever, or we didn't get out of the room, and then later the guy, someone else in the room with me was like, oh yeah, I actually thought about that, but I didn't say anything. It's why didn't you say anything? We could have solved that puzzle in half the time if you said something. Like, you are there to talk, you are there to work together. Even if you think your idea is dumb, just say it. What's the worst going to happen? It doesn't work. Oh well, do something else. What if it does work? Like, it's really easy to kind of like get steamrolled. I think I'm one of those people who speaks up a lot and like takes control in those rooms, and I worry that it ruins the experience for other people. And so as someone who's like that, please tell me to shut up, like talk over me, say, hey, I have an idea. Because we're a team. We're working together. We want to get out of this together. We want to succeed. Tell me if I'm being a bully. So yeah, those are my main escape room tips and tricks. Like I said, I've done quite a few. Not as many as some people have done, but I've done quite a few. I really, really, really enjoy them. And these are kind of the common threads that I find in almost every single room that I've done. Things that have helped me almost every single time. Again, it kind of depends on the rules and like where you are and stuff like that. But a lot of the time these things have helped me. So yeah. Let me know if you use any of these tips if you go to an escape room after watching this video, or if you have any of your own tips if you like doing escape rooms yourself. Please leave them in the comments down below, and then people who haven't done escape rooms can go down there and get even more help if you're nervous about your first time. I promise it's so much fun, it's so satisfying, and it's thrilling, and I love escape rooms. I highly recommend them. So anyways, while you're down there, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos, and I will see you next time. Later days!